Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hanging On to Hope podcast.
I'm Brenda J.
And I'm Karen Wonder.
And we are HangingOnToHope.org.
This podcast is intended as educational and is not psychological or medical advice. Always consult a professional when needed, and we disclaim any liability in connection with the instruction, information, or advice given.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hanging On to Hope podcast. This is Brenda J. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Sarah Trop. Sarah's an award-winning interior designer, HGTV's Flea Market Flip winner, and founder of Funcycled. Sarah specializes in trauma-informed design and has partnered with nonprofits serving survivors of domestic violence, trafficking, and homelessness to transform their spaces into safe and welcoming environments. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and feel really just grateful for the topic that we're talking about too, that we get to help in that way.
Yes, this is a great topic. So we're thrilled to have you. It's pretty exciting that you're an award-winning designer and that you were on HGTV's Flea Market Flip. Can you tell us a little more about that experience and what that was like?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So when I first had started Funcycled back in 2012, I would watch marathon flea market flip shows with one of my girlfriends when our kids went down for bed at night. And she said one day, you should apply to be on that show. And I said to her, no, absolutely not. No one gets on TV if they haven't already had a connection or just know someone to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to do it. And it's what I do for a living. So if I don't win, that's embarrassing. And she said, you have to try, just do it. So I looked online for a random producer email. I didn't even know if it was a producer that was still looking for people for that show, but I emailed and I didn't hear anything back for 6 months. And then they emailed back and said, we think you'd be a great fit for the show. Why don't you go ahead and apply? And I applied and we were on it. And we actually won on our anniversary. The final recording day was on our anniversary. So that's why they named it Happy Flipping Anniversary.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
That is.
Yeah.
So is it totally different being on a TV show than it seems like when you're watching it?
Yeah, especially that one. So I've been on a couple different shows, but that one, have you ever seen Flea Market Flip?
I have never seen it.
I don't think so.
That's okay. So they take you to one flea market and they give you $500 and 3 challenges of things you have to flip, redo yourself. And then there's a rebuild day. So it's a 3-day recording. So one is buying at one flea market, one is flipping everything. And then one, you go to a different higher end flea market and you sell it. And you're against another team. Whoever makes the most money between what they bought and what they sold wins the competition.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the hardest part was that when you watch the show, you shop for 1 hour and that's fine typically, but 6 team players were recording the same day and we were the first. So we had no time to look ahead of time. We just had to dive in, finding out the challenges and going. And when we did that, you would think an hour feels like plenty, but it's not when you're on TV because it's a live hour. But in that live hour, you'll have to go to one vendor and say, I'll take it and shake his hand and then do it from another angle and then get B-roll and then there's just so many things that slow you down in the process that I thought it would feel like plenty of time. And I had always vowed I wasn't going to do a trunk because everyone does trunks over on that show, but I had to because I just ran out of time and I was like, this will have to do.
That's what I was going to ask you. What kind of items do you look for? Things that you can just paint or to make them look better?
Well, the challenges are different. So it depends on what challenge you get. So like one of them was modern Americana. So you had to buy something very old Americana vintage and make it feel more modern. And so we bought a large tractor gear. We welded it to stand upright. It was probably about, 18, 20 inches high. And then we bought a vintage wooden ironing board and welded it so it became part of that, and then added mid-century modern legs from another piece, and it was a coffee table. So it was like an art piece coffee table.
How cool.
Yeah.
Man.
So they were all a little different. I just tried to keep it multi-purpose and small enough in New York City because we sold at the Long Island City Flea. So I knew whoever bought it would need to fit it into a small New York spot.
Wow.
So you still watch that episode?
Yeah, you can still watch it.
You have to just go back.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll have to let us know at the end.
Just Google like happy flipping anniversary flea market flip.
Okay, I'm going to watch it.
I know. I want to watch it now too.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. Well, your belief is simple but powerful that the physical spaces where people receive help should feel as healing as the programs themselves. You've seen firsthand how thoughtful design through color, layout, light, and natural elements can ease stress and create dignity in spaces that might otherwise feel sterile or overwhelming. Can you explain how design choices directly impact emotional recovery for survivors?
Sure. So one of the things, I'm really passionate about is when we talk about non-for-profits, for example, and it can be all across the board. It doesn't have to be just trafficking or homelessness. But what I love about non-for-profits are that typically the people who started those are very passionate. They have a story behind why they created this organization. So they're really good at whatever they're passionate about. But so often I see that the thing that kind of gets left as an unimportant factor in it is the way that the spaces are designed. And a lot of times that's confined by budget or just something that isn't front of mind, right? But I've talked to all different organizations where I say, hey, how do we partner with you as a design firm to help make the space have what's called dignified design? So when people are at their most vulnerable times in their life, how do we create spaces that gives them dignity when they feel like they have nothing? They have no dignity, or they're in a low place, and it's been everything from, I met with someone that has an organization where they help women with breast cancer and they fit them for wigs and prosthetics. And I said, where do these women sit? Where do you meet with them when they come in? And she's like, it's basically like a closet. Like there's not really any decor. And fast forward, I also talked to someone in a large food bank. And I said, when clients come in to buy their food, what does it look like in those spaces? And it's like, oh, it's just concrete floors and metal shelving. So I'm like, okay. So how can we, without them even knowing why they feel differently, create spaces that make them feel more dignified or comforted or at peace? And so that's part of what my journey has been over the last 3 years. And understanding, what colors, what textures, and it always varies a little bit, right? So if you're asking that question in a residential way, the answer might be different with commercial. So if I meet with a client who has some trauma in their past and they came out of a really bad abuse situation, let's say, and they move into a space that's their own for the first time since they've kind of escaped that horrible situation. Well, we can find out talking them through it. And I'm not a therapist, right? But I can just talk them through some trigger points. Like one vet that I talked to, he was very sound sensitive. So if he had an air purifier, for instance, it set him off. Like he just did that humming in the background, just set him off. Or it could be one woman where if the temperature of her house was over a certain temperature, it reminded her of where some really horrific things happened to her. And so she was temperature sensitive. So our built environments affect our emotions and our anxiety so much more than we like to even think about. So that's one thing I'm really passionate about. But when you're talking residential spaces, I would say if you want to research it a little bit more on your own too, look up what's called biophilic design. And I'm a Christian. So as a Christian, I really believe God kind of knew what he was doing when he was creating. And so we can see creation and a lot of what's outside. If we can bring those principles inside, there's a reason why he created nature in a way that it is. There's a reason why you can walk through the woods and your blood pressure will go down and it's good for your health. And it's not really the exercise so much as the environment, right?
Is that why you just slept outside? She just slept outside.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, my husband put a bed outside. It's like an extra bed, and we slept outside all night. And
Was it for grounding or to put?
It was more of a romantic thing, but it was, looking up at because our backyard, he likes to garden. So there's a lot of flowers and we have a pool, but we like looking at the stars. We spent a lot of time on the swing outside in the backyard. So it was just more like, something really romantic about just looking up at the stars on your bed.
Well, where are you guys located? Because it's 30 degrees here, so I'm a little...
Arizona.
Yeah, it's getting hot here, but the evenings are nice and cool still.
Yeah.
So pretty soon it won't be, but right now it is.
And how long have you been married?
It'll be a year in May, so we're newlyweds still, I think.
newlyweds.
Yes.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, this
I
is my
love that.
second act. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah, really amazing.
So sweet. I love that.
Yeah, but I know what
Okay,
you're
so
saying about nature. Yeah, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
exactly. So I would say when we think about biophilic design, we think about things like what textures are outside that we can bring in. So for instance, can we bring more wood elements? Can we bring natural stone, natural fibers? Like, can we have linen on our bedding or pure, like 100% cotton? Or can we remove things that keep nature from coming inside? So for instance, like super heavy drapes. Most of my downstairs in my house have no window treatments at all. And I know window treatments add design elements and there's nothing wrong with them, but I prefer natural light. I prefer just getting the sunlight in my space as much as possible, as often as I can. Adding greens, adding real plants that purify the air. And it's just something beautiful about the growth of life in your space. I love that. So those are kind of the layers of thoughts and styles that I think about in design. And typically especially in places like the sex trafficking home, where people are coming from some of the most traumatic experiences you can possibly go through into a safe haven.
Yeah.
It's a balance of not being so refined that they feel uncomfortable, but it's also a balance of making sure the colors and tones and the design feels thoughtful in a way that they can relax, safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
So wall colors, we did like one of the sex trafficking homes that we worked with in the last couple of years. They have what's called a blue room. I don't know if you're familiar with that in any of the spaces. So basically, every one of their homes has this blue room, and that's where they try to make it where you get the most sunlight throughout the day. There's no electronics in those spaces. The walls are always blue. It's always just comfortable seating. And so it's more of a place to unwind, meditate, pray, and kind of clear your head. So I typically go with soft blues, not anything too bright, nothing too jarring. Same thing with soft greens, soft whites, soft neutrals. If I'm going to do a room where I want the walls to be neutral, like a cream or a white, then I'll layer in blues and greens throughout the space with like the couch or the throw pillows or the artwork. I try to have the artwork be kind of inspiring and calming. And, I think we feel that even if we don't articulate it, when you go into a space, it's like a bright yellow. I know there's one pediatrician that my kids have gone to and everything is like Crayola bright yellow. And it's just, whoa, you walk in and I'm instantly like, I can't take it. But I know that there's also spaces that are colorful. And my favorite restaurant has bright teals and golds and multiple patterns and velvet drapes. And I like invigorating spaces too. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when we're talking what's going to calm our nervous system and be more appropriate for that type of a situation in your own home or in a commercial space that is used for residential living. Those are the things that we keep in mind.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I always used to do that. Turn lights off all the time.
Yeah.
My husband turned I'm like, turn them off.
She's light sensitive and I'm like,
well, I just like the natural light. Like you were saying, I'd rather have instead of an artificial light, I'd rather just have the sun lightning it.
Me too. But I'm very touch sensitive. Like everything in my room here, I have complex PTSD from abuse and everything's soft and furry in my room and very neutral. Like if you looked around and I do have 4 live plants by the window that have lived for like 3 or 4
really well.
now they keep blooming. I don't know. So it gives you life. Like those, I don't know. But yeah, and the coloring I used to paint. So I know that yellow can bring anxiety. So, but grays, I didn't know this, but I read that recently the grays could cause depression if you have the wrong tone. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Yeah. So you just want it to be the right color. Like blues and greens are healing. From when I painted, yeah.
I can only tell you from how I feel when I see grays and when they're like that naval ship gray. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
I'm always like, I don't know how people in the Navy or submarines aren't depressed all the time. That color is so depressing to me. I actually had a client recently that their house was almost all that color. And they said, I just feel like it's so depressing. Like we're on a submarine. I was like, oh, you're spot on. Yes. Like let's change this. And it's not like they didn't like gray. It was just the tone of gray.
I have light grays in here mixed with whites and cream. But I do like when I was picking out stuff for my son's house, we went with the lighter grays because even though he's a guy like that, I know what you mean. That darker gray it was a concrete color was actually in more, but
it's more like concrete.
I'm like, no. Me personally, I was like, no, let's go with the lighter one. And he did too. So that
I like
explains
grays that work well with wood tones. So like Benjamin Moore has a Balboa mist, and it has a warmth to it. It doesn't feel like a cool gray, but it definitely is in the gray family. That's what my living room is.
Is it okay for the blues to have grays in them, or can that cause depression too, or no?
I mean, I can't speak to the depression part. I don't prefer it to have gray.
The blue, just like a nice blue color. Okay.
Yeah, just do like a soft blue that doesn't feel like a baby blue necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got to have a little bit of a warm tone to it.
Okay.
So whether you're building a safe house, an advocacy center, or setting up a social service office, what are some practical ways to make those spaces feel safe, welcoming, and healing for survivors, especially on a limited budget? But I guess flea markets can work.
Let's talk about budget. Now, here's what I think should be done in the world, which I've never heard anyone doing it other than me. So it could be not the greatest model, but I think it works. Basically, any organization, the non-for-profits that are they're struggling with funding, but they care about the design spaces and want dignified design. I recommend partnering with a couple people. Partner with a design firm. See if they'll do it pro bono. We've done a lot pro bono for different organizations. But if they can't, they can't. But let's say they do. They can do what's called a design board. And this is what we do. So we'll create the design board that has all the things in a space, right? So for instance, we recently did this for a homeless shelter nearby. And I used trauma-informed designs to create sitting room and an entryway in this homeless shelter. And because it's the first thing that people in a very vulnerable state are experiencing when they walk in. So we created a design board with all the products showcasing how they blend together. And then they had a gala where they presented those boards and they asked for people to fundraise specific items within the boards. Or they could sponsor the whole room. So that's one way that you could do it. Because what I find is that donors get on board a lot more when it's just not just throwing a number at them, but they can see the impact, right? Another organization, what they did was I created the design boards, and then each design board had a link to the product on the board, and they could promote that on their social media and say, hey, let's say it's a safe house. Hey, this safe house needs a new bedroom for 5 girls or whatever it is. And here is the board. If you could sponsor this, just click this link, order it, and it will automatically be shipped to X, Y, or Z, like wherever their warehouse is, or if it's local and people can drop it off, they can drop it off, they can buy it, whatever. And so someone who may not be able to donate $5,000 for this cause, they could order $40 sheets, right? That work with the design. And so it's a really good way to have a good social presence. It's a good way to partner with other businesses. And it's also a way for your donors to feel involved in the process, to actually feel like they're making a difference. So that's a huge way. And if it's more of a build, then you could also ask for contractors, once the designer creates some type of design, to donate a day of their time, or ask for companies to come together and donate a day of their time. So there's ways to work around it, where I try to encourage different organizations to not just be scared of the budget, but instead, how do we creatively work together with the community to transform spaces and actually build community while we do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I did notice a difference when I give a specific project we're doing. People are on board more when they know specifically what they're donating to. I do agree with that. So before we move on, I want to mention that Jessica from Fire Revolution, an anti-human trafficking nonprofit, wanted to join us but couldn't be here. She did have a question she wanted to ask. Rick Warren requires each of his 12 satellite churches in California to have a safe house for victims recovered. If another church or organization wanted to do something similar, what would you recommend? Would there be any differences in designing a safe house versus an advocacy center or social service office, especially since safe houses often don't have windows or have other unique challenges? Also, more generally, for anyone working with or supporting survivors, what guidance would you give when designing a safe house? Is there anything people should consider that might not be obvious? I know that was a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, so let me unpack it a little bit. First off, the design portion is going to be similar in an advocacy center in the sense that the similar colors, I don't think you need to be the feeling or the style doesn't have to be as soft. But I do think when you go into the homes, the centers where actually people are living, and because they might not have windows, you have to somehow bring light in. You can't necessarily have plants that are going to grow, but you can bring in faux plants. We had to do this recently in a bathroom where they wanted very biophilic style and they had no windows. So I'm like, well, you can't exactly bring in plants and grow them well. I mean, yes, you can put grower lights. There's things that you can do, like even the light that you use. They have new light bulbs out where it will go throughout the day at different colors, and it's very calming at the end. It's almost like red. So there's things that you can do that can help the emotions from even just a light perspective, the fabrics and the textures, and then the safety that comes in that balance that I was talking about earlier, where it can't be so elegant that they feel like they can't touch anything, but we don't want it to be so basic that it feels like a prison. Like there's that fine balance of comfort and safety, but also a knowing of, hey, we created something really special for you. And I think that can come in even with the artwork that we choose, the verses that might be on the wall, or even the safety of it's something as little as like, don't buy a flimsy chair that feels like it could break. Like we want everything to feel solid and sound and soft, nothing too jarring, nothing too abrasive, especially in the homes where they're staying.
Okay. And then for the artwork, like, do you suggest the artwork having similar calming colors in it? Nothing too bold, right?
Yep. I really like landscape themes.
Okay.
Flat florals. I like scripture, obviously.
Scripture,
I like beautiful quotes that aren't too cheesy but also acknowledge the hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Acknowledge the hard while giving some hope. And I think that there's plenty out there now, but just not the same old cliche things that you see.
Do you have any stores that are like your favorite stores to frequent?
Not so much. A lot of times I do, because everything usually has to be click and ordered. I don't do a lot of local shopping for it. So I often do things like on Etsy, or I love Etsy because it's usually smaller creators and
very
unique pieces. But you can get, and even there, like if you go on Etsy, if you type in artwork collages, it'll have a whole gallery of 7 or 8 art pieces within certain color themes and framing. So if you have a hard time picturing, hey, what gallery would look good over, say, a couch or whatever, you usually can find all different galleries on there within different themes that are beautiful and soft and natural.
That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Etsy's got some neat stuff.
So what's the most important thing a survivor needs in their environment to feel truly safe?
Well, the Lord.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, let me think. So what's something that they truly need? I mean, I think it's so much about, from a design perspective, they need soft. I would say softness, less abrasive, less bright colors, less morbid tones. I think sometimes we don't think about the tones, and the color affects a lot.
Yeah, everything affects me a lot. So I totally agree with that. And even the noise and the sound, I can have like a humidifier because I get used to that, but like I can't handle loud noise, anything too loud, crowds and colors. I'm sensitive to everything. So I agree with that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So on the flip side, what would you say is one of the biggest mistakes that could make someone feel unsafe in a space?
Well, it's hard because each victim is very different. So what I think would make them feel unsafe might be very different from what they actually think is unsafe, right?
Yeah.
So it could be, I would say, helping them know themselves, and then you adapt the space to what is most comforting for them. Like, is it going to be a weighted blanket that brings them comfort? Does that stress them? Is it going to be they love bright lights because a lot of bad things happen in the dark? Is it they like things dark and cave-like because that's comforting to them? It really is all over the board, especially when you're talking about trauma. So I don't know that I have a generalized answer for that. I do think it's very client specific,
Yeah, that makes sense.
But definitely skip the bright, bold colors. That's what I would say.
Well, I mean, some
or like
people
bright yellow. How about a bright yellow? Let's skip bright yellow.
Yeah.
I would say generally I haven't met someone who wanted bright yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
So that might be a good sense. But I have other clients who love that. And it's invigorating to them and it's inspiring. And so, I think
And my husband
that's
likes yellow. I think our bathroom is yellow.
But I agree. Like a weighted blanket for me, I couldn't use one. Like that would bother
never
me.
even tried one.
But I have weighted blankets for some of our survivors for gifts, like that like them. So
Yeah.
maybe just give the option of having them and not having them, which is a great idea. Because
Right.
everybody likes something different.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah.
And you can layer lighting in that way too. Like you can have overhead lighting, you could have dimmable switches, you can have lower lighting as an option. So maybe they just want to cozy up with a chair and a good book and have only lower lighting, and that's relaxing to them. Or maybe they want bright lights. And so just having options is a really good point.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so glad you thought of that. So, what are some stories from your pro bono work designing trauma-informed environments? Can you share a few examples of how spaces have been transformed?
I would say one example is there's one of the safe houses for the sex trafficking victims. It was just such a gorgeous house that they were blessed to be able to even have. And when I worked on the designs in that space and people came in and I would watch them come in, I didn't ever go while there were victims there. I wasn't able to do that. But even while staff came in, they would walk in and literally just cry. Like I would watch them walk in and get emotionally just overwhelmed by the space, by like, wow, how can something be so beautiful that God just provided for the people that are hurting so much? And I was like, well, that's what our God does, right? Like he likes to blow us away with his love. And being a part of that story, even if it was a small part of just doing the design, it's not all me. It was so fulfilling. It really
that would
felt so
be
special. Yeah.
That would be. That's such a great gift to give a person that's been through so much trauma.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're also the founder of something called Funcycled. Can you share more about what that is and how it started?
Sure. Yeah. I started it in 2012 as a furniture repurposing company. And over the years, it's changed. I actually do furniture less than anything else, but now I'm an interior designer and I really specialize in a lot of historic spaces and commercial spaces and residential. So all of it kind of combined. And then we do kitchen facelifts. So my husband will paint kitchen cabinets and do new tiling, and we kind of help people repurpose and reuse throughout, whether it's furniture. I do furniture through design now if someone's working with me. And I wrote a book it's called Created to Create, and it talks a lot about, hey, what's our response as Christians to design? And so that's been something that I've been talking about and speaking about, where a lot of times I think people view design as vanity, especially in the Christian world. I've had people over the years go, hey, how can you do this for a living? Like, doesn't that feel shallow? It's just wood, hay, and stubble. It's just going to burn away. And trying to help people understand how I think God views creativity and design.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my response to that. So there's different facets of our business. I'm also an artist and I have artwork for sale in a store in Michigan and a store in West Sand Lake, New York. So I'm really grateful for like different avenues of creativity that God's opened the door for me. But design is what I do the most. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, art is to me so God. We're reading this book in our community group. It's about the crucifixion of Christ, but it's about he's got all these colored paintings in it, and I love it. It's been an amazing study. But he talks about different ages and different things they went through, and sometimes Jesus is on the cross, and sometimes he's not. But he points out different things, and I found it to be such a great book. And my son, who's an artist, he was looking at it and he goes, "Oh yeah, I know that artist." And I mean, I think art just is so much about God. God's an artist,
Right.
They
I mean, if
go
you didn't
together.
care about how things looked, well, read about the Ark of the Covenant. I'm doing a
Yes.
chronological study of the Bible.
Right.
And also just look at creation. I'm like, he could have created everything gray.
Right.
Obviously he cares about beauty and how creation makes us feel and affects our health. And so I think good design, especially in homes, right? Because that's what I can speak to. Good design ushers in sacred spaces, moments where we can get at peace with God.
Yeah.
And it also ushers in hospitality. Like when I sat down with our staff at the beginning of this year to kind of go over the direction I felt God leading the business this year, it was 3 words: collaboration, community, and Christ. And those 3 things that I mean, we're going to collaborate with other businesses because I don't want to be a ship by myself. I want to be collaborative with people around me. as we design and as we build things, I want to do so in a way that's building community. And why does that matter? It's because I think that matters to Christ, because hospitality is important. There's a reason why iron sharpens iron, and God wants us to be around people. And I think when we have homes that are designed in ways that we're excited to have people in, or we feel at peace in, it will usher in more community, which then is where the refining happens. We can't grow if we're not seen and loved and known. And we can't do those things if we're not diving in with people. And then once we do all these things, what's our undercurrent of why? And that is to point people to Christ. So that's kind of my heartbeat behind Funcycled. And I'm kind of a designer disguised as someone who wants to share the good news of Christ. So
Awesome.
that is awesome.
What state are you in?
Upstate New York.
Oh, that's what
where
I thought.
It's dark. Can you see the darkness?
I noticed that it was dark there.
My family's in Pennsylvania, so.
Okay.
But
That's all traffic.
you wrote a book. I thought originally when I'd read the request that you had written a book, I would love to read that. So what is it called again?
It's called Created to Create, and it's on our website, funcycled.com, or on Amazon. You might have to put in my name, Sarah Trop, on Amazon. I don't, for some reason, it just doesn't show up as well if you don't put in my name, but there's not another book named that, so I don't know why it doesn't. But.
And that's amazing. This was a very special podcast to me. And you know, God created the beauty. He did. He created beauty, and he made things beautiful. And I think you're totally right. And thinking of design in a way that is comforting, like my room is my sanctuary. It's where I spend time with God. It's important to me to feel comfortable and feel safe, because I was unsafe for 22 years of my life before I got out of an abusive domestic violence relationship. So feeling safe and having things that make me feel safe are very, very important to me. So this was a really important podcast to me. I just really appreciate it. For our listeners who feel inspired by what you're doing, how can they find you? And if they needed help or had questions, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can check us out at our website, funcycled.com. So it's funcycled.com. And on there, I have lots of options. So I have 1-hour consults for virtual or in person. So if you're not around me, that's okay. I can do it virtually. And I tell people, hey, if you have questions about anything within that hour, I'm happy to answer it, whether it's business, design, faith. Feel free to reach out and book one of those. It's right online, and my calendar is online, so you can do it pretty easily. If you're a social media person, I have Funcycled on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and those are my main platforms that I post to pretty consistently, and I share DIY tutorials and free tips and some of my favorite products on there. And also I do travel blogging, so we try to do really inexpensive travel where most people could be able to swing it. So all those tips.
Is that on Funcycled, your travel blogging?
Yep.
Okay. I bet you a lot of our listeners are going to go to that. Everybody wants to travel for less.
Yeah. I mean, like, we're going to Italy next, over April break, and it was like 5,000 for our family of 4 for 9 days.
Wow.
So I try to have it be pretty reasonable.
Where in Italy are you going?
Rome, Tuscany, and Venice.
Wow, that's a great price for all three cities.
I know.
Yeah,
I want to go to Tuscany.
The airfare, hotels, and a car rental, and breakfast every day. So
wow. Yeah, we're gonna have to look into that.
Phenomenal. Oh my
goodness. That's me and my husband want to go to. Did you see that movie Solo Mia?
It was so good.
Me and my husband were like, we need to go to Tuscany.
Yeah.
My husband says Tuscany, but
we have 2 kids, one's 16, one's 17, and we took them with us, even though it was like a romantic comedy. And I'm like, because we're going to be there, you have to see what we're going to see.
Yeah, I love the scenery. The scenery was gorgeous.
Well, her and I went to London, Paris, and Rome together.
Yeah,
we didn't go anywhere else because we didn't have enough time.
But Rome was amazing.
We loved
Paris too. I mean,
we loved all of it.
Yeah,
I loved every second of it. There was an excitement to being in Europe. I don't know what it was.
Great. I've been to Paris and London as well. I'm going back to London in May for a design conference, but yeah, I love it there.
Yeah,
So fun.
it's amazing.
Wow, that stinks. You have to go to London for a design conference.
I know.
Sorry,
It's
we
a
don't feel sorry
real
for you.
burden
I
I'm going to
can't believe
bear.
it.
Taking up my cross.
Yeah, really. We don't feel sorry for you.
Okay.
Well,
That's
thank you
fair.
so much, Sarah, for being here and
Yeah.
sharing your heart and expertise. This was a great, fun podcast, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on
Thanks
to the
for
Hanging On to
having me.
Hope podcast.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. It's so fun. Felt like we're
Yeah.
hanging out with friends over here.
Yeah.
So
We try to make
good.
it easy. We're just a bunch of goofballs, so. And we love
love
Jesus too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Combination
a
of the two, it is a win-win.
Yeah, it's what got us through for sure.
Yeah, and she got married, so it's like we don't get to hang out anymore unless we're doing.
win-win. Ah,
Yeah, with single.
This is my woman cave where we do.
yeah. Where you get to steal her away for an hour.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Last year, I think 7 of my friends got married, which is funny because, like, when you're in your 40s, there was such a gap of no weddings. And now, like, so many of my closest friends I have to share with these guys that are incredible. I'm like,
Yeah.
I had them all to
think-
myself for all these years.
I think 3 of my closest friends got married last year. You, Jessica, and one of my friends just got engaged. So,
Oh,
yeah.
this
And
is
I have
season
no intention of that.
You never know.
I'm good.
Thanks for tuning in to Hanging On to Hope. Check out our website, hangingontohope.org. There are resources on there, and if you would like to donate or volunteer, you can do that through our website. We are a brand new nonprofit, so we appreciate any and all support. And we thank you for listening. And until next time, keep hanging on to hope. We are evidence that there is hope and healing for you, and our passion is to help you find it too. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening, everyone.